If you or your organization is interested in sponsoring the efforts of Dangerous Minds Podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at dangerousminds.io and email us at info@dangerousminds.io, and we'll be glad to talk to you about it.
I'm very happy to be bringing out Richard Thiem, an author and commenter on the challenges posed by new technologies. He's spoken for the NSA, the FBI, the Department of Treasury, government agencies, tech conferences. He's a writer at Wired, Forbes, and Salon. Originally, he started out as an Episcopal priest, and one of the things I love about Richard Thiem's range is that he always brings in a perspective that you're not expecting. And his data checks out, and that's a wonderful combination from a commenter. In this talk, we'll be hearing about the ethics of hacking, biotech, biohacking, and the freedom to live or die. Not every country or person who talks the talk walks the walk. Different rules apply inside the national security apparatus than they do to humplings, those who hump along about the body of the bell curve. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Richard has to say about those contradictions and the ethics of the kind of biohacking we're talking about this weekend. A big warm welcome for Richard Thiem.
Thank you, Quinn. Is that loud enough? Okay. It's great to be here, and it's great to be part of it. Did I do that? We got it down? Okay, it's great to be part of a conference that offers such a diverse set of offerings, because there's nobody interested in these subjects who could not find plenty to engage with here. I think it's been wonderful. I am going to talk a little bit about some of the things that can happen that make ethical issues relevant in the first place. I'm going to start with that. I mean, the first, I guess, is my example here. You can see I'm wearing a brace on my wrist, and this is testimony to some of the dangers of an uninformed approach to certain technologies that have become embedded in our lives if you simply use them without thinking. How many people have seen Breaking Bad? Most of you. Breaking Bad is terrific, right? And when we watched it the first time, we were just enthralled and pretty much binge-watched it. And then after many months had passed, I wondered how it would go to look at it again. And I started watching it on my iPad, and I got caught up in it again, watched 2 or 3 at a time before I went to sleep, which I know now you're not supposed to do. And I didn't even think about the fact that I was holding my iPad like this for 2 to 3 hours. So the lesson I learned from that is rest it on a pillow. Do not hold it up like this for a prolonged period of time. So unintentionally, the technologies can come into our lives. Not every country, not every person talks the ethical talk we hear in this country. It is a two-edged sword. It both keeps us on the path we want to say we are on, but it also puts us at a competitive disadvantage. And people that I talk to in the intelligence community are very, very concerned about that. They know that other people are doing everything they can to advance the technologies in nefarious ways. And so we have to talk about what ethics really means in the world in relationship to these topics. Really, ethics is just thinking about, together, what's the best thing to do? What's the right thing to do? And what's the fun thing to do? And how is it that we can go off the tracks? Some people think of ethics in a rigid, black and white, rule-based way. I'll say a lot about that in a little later for a good reason. That's where beginners do begin thinking about how to live their lives with a set of rules that they're given like we were in kindergarten. But that's not where real experts at ethics live their lives, and it's not where I hope you will live your life. I'm going to try to provide a program or a way, a framework to understand how you can become expert at ethical decisions. In other words, I'm not going to give you a set of rules. I'm going to give you a template for an ongoing modification and sustaining and nurturing of your own journey so that you become expert intuitively at knowing what is the right thing to do. Because that's what it's all about, to wind up at the ability to know how and know that you know how to make the right decisions in life. We call it maturity. And if we don't do it, we can go off. This is a Mobius strip. This is an object which you know looks like it has two sides, but it only has one side. And that is the challenge that faces us in all of the discussions we've heard for these 2 days here. We are these agents exercising what we used to call free agency for thinking about and implementing all of these ideas about how to change ourselves into the future. But when we come back to the decision-making process, we find that the very thing we are altering is the very self that is making those decisions. In other words, there's only one side to this. We set out as if we are separate from our bodies, which is, of course, not true. Our body-brain is a single organic unity. We are one thing. And we have what some call the illusion of freedom of action, because we know that unconscious processes generate action prior to the conscious mind becoming aware that it's making what we used to call a choice. And this makes the discussion of ethics very, very difficult, and it makes a lot of the statements we make paradoxical. I did a speech in Canada 2 weeks ago,